Kap, we should talk to Tommy about the way we opened up the show this morning.
Yeah, we talked about, obviously, Caleb Williams. We played some of his interview on NFL Network. We played some of the Montez Sweat on NFL Network yesterday, where he said, this is Sweat saying this, I've been hit more and had more tackling in this camp than I've had in the previous 7 years of my career. And Stacey Dales went, what? He's like, yeah. And he goes, and if you love football like I do, you love it. Why did it take a new coach to understand, hey, man, we're getting ready to get hit a lot for 17 games. Let's get physical out here. Why is this such a revelation in this city?
It's kind of where he came from. He was a part of the Detroit Lions with Dan Campbell as a former player who's lived with some hard-nosed head coaches throughout the course of training camp. And he understood what it took on a daily basis to change the culture, to change the toughness. And, we sat here, you guys, over the last few years talking about trying to make this team more callous. They're making it more callous, and it's in the process. So you go to Sunday's practice at Soldier Field, they run 95 plays. That's 30 more than you're going to get in a regular NFL game. And then the practice the day before yesterday, they run 75 plays. So Ben Johnson is not taking easy on anybody, but he's given everybody the opportunity to impress their position coaches, to show what they can do. No one's getting cheated on reps. And he's asking them to play the sport of football the way it's meant to be played, rather than going out there and having a quick whistle by an official or, trying not to make contact because this is training camp. And I really appreciate what Ben Johnson has done in this training camp, not only to leave his impression on the beginning of his head coaching career, but where this thing is hopefully going.
We talked about reps in that first preseason game against the Dolphins, Tom. And so, we talk about this every year, so my stance has not changed. I just think that when you're a football player and you get tired of hitting your own teammates, you just want to be able to have some semblance of, hey, my body's calloused, I'm going to be out there for a few series. What do you think is best for Ben Johnson his first year with this offense in this game against the Dolphins? Should the first team play?
I do think they should play, and I'm kind of, I do like the fact that there's joint practices, and I do like the fact that it's going to be a lot of talent, a lot of stances, a lot of different things that you have not seen out of the Miami Dolphins yet. So it's going to be a great way to kind of judge where everybody is, specifically according to their position, their assignments, and all that against the Miami Dolphins. Jay Hood, one thing about football is I think everybody that shows up to the locker room before a game, whether it's preseason or regular season, you have to have that uber serious approach about, this is my day, this is my opportunity. And even when we played preseason games with Ditka, he never would tell you how many plays you were going to play. He just wanted you to be ready to play. And I do think if you're trying to create that tough guy culture inside of a locker room, it's everybody coming in to put their uniform on for a reason. And you're going to get a lot of people that are going to push back and say, oh, this is only the preseason. Yes, it is. But you're looking at a preseason unlike any others. You're trying to install an offense that still is confusing to a lot of these guys. In every rep that you can possibly get is beneficial to you. If you're going to go to a joint practice, there is going to be a whistle that is going to keep the quarterback safe and not let some of these big collisions happen. When you get into a game, the whistle concludes the play. And so there is going to be tackling. There is going to be hitting. You're going to be able to watch the fundamental development of maybe a young defensive lineman or a young offensive lineman or DB. So I'm kind of in the train of thought right now. I do think that everybody should come to the locker room to put their pads on for a purpose. And if you play a series or two, so be it.
True Fan Travel and ESPN Chicago are teaming up for the ultimate fan getaway to Sin City to see the Bears take on the Raiders in Las Vegas.
You get round-trip airfare, 3-night stay at Mandalay Bay, special live broadcasts and meet and greets with the full ESPN Chicago team, all-inclusive tailgate, tickets to Bears, Raiders, and more to come.
Spots are limited, so don't wait. Reserve your spot today at truefantravel.com. Back to you on the video.
I got to ask you a question. Jay Moore has a play call. Tyson Bagent was on Waddle and Sylvie. Great interview. Go to the ESPN app and listen on the podcast to it. But they asked him to call a play in the Bears offense. So I want to have Jay Moore play the play for you. And can you, I know you don't know the playbook because you're not playing anymore, but can you break it down for everybody, like what he's saying? Here, Jay Moore, play this.
We'll do a screen to a screen, right? So we're going to go home to gun tipster right. F. Rikers, kill Kobe Pineapple for man.
Kobe
Right?
Pineapple
So we're
for
going,
man.
Yeah, we're going gun. We're going home to gun tipster right. F. Rikers, kill Kobe Pineapple. Hey, we're looking for man right here, Tyson. We're looking for man.
So what is that, when you hear that,
What is that, Tom?
to explain that
Well,
to
you know-
everybody.
Gun obviously is shotgun. So
Yep.
it's going to be a play that's going to be run out of gun. Then you're talking about the different catchphrases that each one of these guys are looking for according to their position. If you're going tipsters right, does that mean you're going to be strong right to start it and see how the defense balances up against it? If they go into what you assume they're going to be in, then you're going to stick with the first play. Then you get that kill word in there. Kill, it means everything after that is the second play I'm calling in case the defense is not in exactly what we predicted them to be in. And so every segment is just listening to their catchphrase. It's the quarterback that really has to understand what every single assignment is to the other 10 guys in the huddle for two plays. And that's why it is so confusing. That's why it's so time-consuming to understand this terminology. And, one thing about that play he just called, that's really not that complicated of terminology. You go back and you look at some of the offenses that some of the NFL head coaches, the whiz kids, have installed. It's so long and it's so confusing that some guys are lost by the time he says kill in the next play. And then you got to listen to the snap count and go to the line of scrimmage, and you got 1,000 different variations are going through your head if you got a 3-technique defensive tackle or you're an odd man defense. And so the process of learning is continuous throughout a long period of time.
That play call is why Chris Sims is an analyst now.
Yeah, exactly.
You saw that with Gruden, right?
Yeah.
He was just so pissed off. Gruden is like, just repeat what I just told you, and he kept getting lost in the terminology. And it's like, I don't know what you mean, Coach. He's like, you know what? Sit down. That's why Sims is all unbuttoned with his podcast now.
And I've watched that, Tom. And if you go on Google and just search it, who John Gruden said was the smartest person he ever put on the whiteboard, it was Jameis Winston. And he said, they sat down, he asked him, why did you get in trouble at Florida State for the crab legs? Why did you do this? Why did you? And then he had him, they drew a play. Gruden drew on the board, flipped the whiteboard over after he said, you got it? Flipped it over, 10 more minutes, grilling him why he got in trouble, why he did this, why he did that. And then he said, okay, write the play back up there. And Jameis not only got the play right, he said, Coach, you got to look at this. Why are you taking this receiver here and blocking it this way? If you block it this way and take this receiver here, I think we got a better shot at a touchdown.
Yeah, it's
and he
funny.
went, wow, I never really even thought about that. And he said it was super cool, like to someone who never played pro quarterback, to listen to this guy, like you saw it, break this down. It's amazing. How complex is it really?
Well, it is super complex. That's why a lot of John's successes in his pro career has been with Brad Johnson or Rich Gannon, guys that have been around the NFL for a long time. And they don't necessarily have to memorize coverages. They just have to memorize the terminology of the play. And that's one thing John did throughout his time in the NFL. He became so exhausted with terminology. That's why a lot of quarterbacks failed under him. And you needed the veteran quarterbacks to succeed because they didn't have to learn defenses. They just had to learn the terminology. And one more thing. And so John Gruden's father, Jim Gruden, was our running backs coach when I was at Notre Dame. And so you had a simple play call that you could run against any college defense at any time. And same thing with the passing game, the 2-minute, and all the other types of offenses that you needed to run over a period of time. And then all of a sudden you get a guy that's been around the football, played quarterback at Dayton, and then starts developing this language that, to me, sometimes it's a detriment to the development of some of these players because you spend so much time learning that it almost becomes too confusing. But then they installed the listening device inside the helmet, and then a lot of these quarterbacks were able to develop the terminology quicker because they're hearing it before the play called, rather than when we were there, they were running guys in from the sideline to tell McMahon the play.
So what does your eyes tell you about the depth chart of the offensive line? I think we know the starters, but give us an update on what you've seen from the Newmans, the Trapillos, Ryan Bates, guys like that down the line.
First of all, Luke Newman, I'm glad you brought him up, Jay Hood, because he's a guy that was drafted out of Michigan State, and he's got a lot of interior responsibility. He's very comfortable at guard, both right-handed stance and the left-handed stance, but he's got to become more consistent snapping the ball, whether it's shotgun or directly under center. He's a block of a guy. He's super powerful. He's got great leverage, and I really do think that he can help this football team in the depth concerns when you can play all three interior positions. Yeah, now he is going to be in competition against Ryan Bates and a couple of other guys here, Kramer, but I think Luke Newman, they might have got a guy that they can really develop and turn into that important interior backup for the time being. And then when I look at the left tackle position, I'm disappointed that Karan Amagaji isn't in there battling, but I like what I've seen out of Ozzie Trapillo. It's two different styles of play. He's a big, physical, powerful guy, and you can see his bloodlines and his traits to become a really solid NFL offensive lineman. I still don't know where it's going to be, right or left-hand side, and then you have to give the experience to Braxton Jones. He's been here for a number of seasons. He kind of has a better understanding of how to play at an NFL level. The one thing about Ozzie Trapillo, the better he learns the system, the better he's going to learn exactly every time he goes to the line of scrimmage, where is my help and how do I keep myself out of the most vulnerable of positions? And the more you can learn that, whether it's help from my guard to my right, help from my tight end to my left, maybe a back behind me, cut my split down a little bit, not to give the defensive lineman a two-way go. And those are the types of little things that really aren't coached on a regular basis. They're more learned over a period of time. I don't think that Ozzie is a failed experiment by any means. I know the difficulty of going from right to left, but I love the competition, and the dude is a legitimate, everyday football player, and I think that's most important when you're trying to turn him into an NFL-caliber lineman.
Tom, thanks for everything. You're the best. As we let you go, just give me an answer this way. I'm highly encouraged, highly discouraged, or meh, how Caleb has performed in camp.
I think that, the jury's still out, Cappy. So I can't give a final answer on that because I need another three more weeks of terminology. So they had 12 installments of the offense. Now when you start going over this again, I think that you're going to see evidence against the Dolphins and most certainly against the Buffalo Bills. Ask me the same question next Thursday, and I'll have a better answer for you.
You're the best. Have a great
Bye,
day.
buddy.
Appreciate
Adios.
you.